Hey guys, it's Emiliath. In today's video, I want to talk about something that I've been asked about multiple times over the past couple months since Marvel Rivals launched. Like, I've been asked about it a lot. And that is how to position on support. I've specifically been asked about Cloak and Dagger, but in general, positioning tips can be applied to a lot of the supports, with some exceptions applying to closer range characters like Sue Storm. For the sake of simplicity, and since it's my best character anyway, in this video, we will specifically use a Cloak and Dagger point of view. So let's just get into it. First of all, you might be thinking, positioning isn't that important. As long as I use everything else right, I can just win the game. Wrong. So wrong. More wrong than my mother was about it being just a phase. Positioning is like the cornerstone of good gameplay. It literally holds everything else up, and if you have great positioning, you're making your life, and your teammates' lives for that matter, 1,000 times easier. The biggest issue with bad positioning is that it causes you or your allies to waste cooldowns. Cooldown management is what will separate you from the other support and ultimately help you win the game. But you can't have proper cooldown management if you are positioned like an absolute buffoon. And positioning is just something you'll always have to actively think about. Your brain can go on autopilot for a lot of things, like heal botting or your 9 to 5, but I find that with positioning, I have to constantly check myself. This is for two reasons. One, it keeps you aware of your surroundings, which I'll go into in a moment, and two, the optimal positioning is always moving. It's based on where the fight moves to, how the map has changed, if you have your ultimate, and just a plethora of other scenarios. So while there may be some great spots for holding an area on a specific map, at some point you will have to reposition, which is why in this video I'm not just showing you convenient places to hold on specific maps, but I'm going to actually try and help you understand how to position. The first biggest step for proper positioning is thinking about the layout of the map and where the fights will happen. If you understand the map layout, you will have an easier time understanding what could be happening around you, where you could retreat to, strategizing your ultimate, and working around health packs. When setting yourself up, you should be keeping some questions in mind. The biggest one being, do I have vision of my teammates? Obviously, as a support player, you need to have a good LOS of your team. Otherwise, you're kind of useless. Sure, you can heal around walls with Cloak and Dagger, but that can be unreliable and should only be used when needed. But Emiliath, what do I do if my teammates run out of LOS? Well, you have two options. One, you patiently wait for them to come back to LOS while spam pinging them to back up, or two, you adjust your positioning. And actually, either one of these could be the right answer. It depends on what your team is fighting and if it's a lost fight regardless, if they'll be able to get back to you, or if they'll win the fight with you being there. Sometimes it's better for you to admit when the fight is lost and back out and regroup, and other times, just going in with allies will actually win you the fight. Because even though their positioning isn't ideal, if everyone moves with them, it becomes a plan rather than just one person inting. There are plenty of times that your allies are going to go in and int, and you have to make the executive decision to stay back and group. Overall, you should be prioritizing your safety and focusing on how you can keep yourself alive. Do not sacrifice yourself to try and heal teammates that are a lost cause. Instead, focus your resources into yourself or allies that are worthwhile. And don't force yourself into a bad position in order to try and save an ally. You being alive is more important due to the sheer value supports have. Another question you should always keep in mind when finding good positioning is, where do I stand that makes it harder for the enemy to target me? Here's a secret, it's not in front of your tanks. Usually this just means standing a safe distance away from the main fight. You can set yourself up far into the backline, keeping a good distance from the enemy team. This is the easiest and most basic spot for you to place yourself as a strategist because you are distant from the main fight, making it harder to target you, but still have good LOS of your team. This is not a rule, this is just a general support spot that allows you space from the main fight. Your positioning will need to be adjusted if you are being targeted by dive characters or flankers, likely forcing you to play closer to your DPS or tanks. However, being a more proactive player would be to look for off angles and high ground where you can set yourself up nicely to see the entire fight, allowing you to do both damage and healing more efficiently. When you're positioned on high ground, the enemy team has to go through two barriers to get to you, being the verticality and then going through your entire team. This allows your team to take more space and can typically give you a better vantage point on the fight. When off-angling, you are disrupting the enemy by taking control of an area of the battlefield and creating pushback to keep them from aggressing on your team, which is an additional way to support your team. This circles back to my previous statement statement about always being aware of your surroundings. Understanding how to position starts with being aware of your surroundings at all times. You need to constantly be checking for flankers, strange portals, or snipers so that you can avoid or disrupt them. As a support, if you die in a fight, your team will likely be losing said fight, so it's entirely up to you to be paying attention to the things that can take you out. If you're going to take off angles, you have to be extremely aware of the enemy team in case they send someone after you. You need to be knowledgeable of what 1v1s you can take if someone dives you or where you'll have to retreat to. You also need to be aware of snipers or hit scan that can burst you down quickly. This brings us to the next step in positioning, looking for cover. You want to set yourself up in a way that allows you the space to take cover quickly if needed. Holding a corner or just inside of a room that you can retreat to can be the difference in life or death. You can use any part of the map for cover, even if it's a small object. Basically, just don't place yourself out in the open without an escape plan. In general, you don't want to be positioned in wide open space because it makes it 10 times easier for the enemy team to target you and keeps you exposed to ultimates, snipers, or the Thor that has chosen you to unleash his 10-year running anger issues out on. You know the phrase out of sight, out of mind? It totally applies when positioning. Keeping yourself out of the enemy team's direct line of sight helps keep you out of their mind. You want to have as little focus on yourself from them as possible so you can keep your resources focused on your allies rather than having to use them all to bail yourself out. So to simplify, these are the things you should always keep in mind: high ground, off angles, and cover. These are the base for a good positioning, meaning you can use them consistently and can fall back to them for a good setup even when you're forced out of a previous position. They are what you should always be on the lookout for. And although I'm giving tips on positioning, just keep in mind none of these are rules. Positioning is fluid and always changing. Every fight is different, every team comp is different, and you will always need to adjust your positioning to cater to what's happening around you. Sometimes you need to be willing to give up a good position in order to better benefit your team. Sometimes you have to prioritize protecting yourself over full sending with your team. And sometimes you just need to play Mantis and say, fuck positioning, I'm just gonna dink everyone in the head. Okay, I know this was kind of short and sweet, but that's all I can think of for the yap session of this video. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. I think just talking about positioning is really hard, and because positioning is so fluid, I think it's better to actually see how somebody else positions and to learn from that, whether it be that you're learning from them having bad positioning or good positioning. So I'm just going to post some clips where I felt like I had some good positioning. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, if it helped you out at all, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye!
Judge, jury.
I am ready to put on a show.
Nice.
I need assistance. My time to shine.
By the eye of
Down here.
Agamotto.
Strange should die, Strange can go. Never mind. Strange sleeping.
Thanks. You captured more than half the mission area. Keep going.
Both tanks in the back.
Your nation has some strange subject.
And I'm
Nice.
big, huge.
I am ready to put on a show. My time to shine.
Like myself again.
You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
I got what you.
My time to shine.
By the eye of Agamotto.
Huge. Wait, they popped.
Crazy that he used that.
This is real fire.
Mantis, yep. Fuck, that's kind of a misclick, but it's okay. Punisher. Yep. Luna.
Fighting until we have a winner.
This Strange is one, yeah.
Everybody needs a hand sometimes.
Sleeping Venom.
My time to shine. You owe me one.
I'm on their Cloak and Dagger. The Cloak and Dagger's one. Got him.
My time to shine.
against the world.
The rocket is top left. The Silex one.
This is real firepower.
I got the rocket down.
Time to shine. Just embrace the light. Everybody needs a hand sometimes. Or a dagger. Everybody needs a hand.
Oh, he's alive.
Us against the world. Friends, gather around.
Thanks.
Andy needs help. Lights out.
Thanks. I am healed.
Lights out.
By the eye of Agamotto!
Huge moon idol?
My time to shine.
And she died.
You owe me one.
That Hulk is definitely gonna ult.
Just hold on a little more. Hold still. I'm trying to help. Us against the world. Us against the world. My time to shine.
You got a shield, Tandy.
You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
Not gonna lie, I thought that was their strange. I saw the green thing and I was like, oh, right click.
Hand sometimes.
Huge.
Or a dagger. Hold still. I'm trying to help.
Oh, thank God.